Welcome to day 40 of our journey through the Bible. In the notes below this video, there are some comments about the significance of the tabernacle. I think you'll appreciate reading them. I hope later you'll have a chance to return to the book of Exodus and do a deeper study of it. There's a reason why it's such a blessing and so much can be gained by that. Let me read to you from the New Testament, from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, to help you perhaps understand that. Paul cites, "I do not want you to be unaware, brethren, that our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea. And all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And all ate the same spiritual food. And all drank the same spiritual drink, for they were drinking from a spiritual rock which followed them. And the rock was Christ. Nevertheless, with most of them God was not well pleased, for they were laid low in the wilderness. Now these things happened as examples for us, so that we would not crave evil things as they also craved. Do not be idolaters as some of them were. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and stood up to play. Nor let us act immorally as some of them did, and 23,000 fell in one day. Nor let us try the Lord as some of them did, and were destroyed by the serpents. Nor grumble as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer." You know what Paul is saying here? He's writing many, many thousands of years after the original experience in Exodus, but he's saying that despite all this passage of time, human beings haven't improved at all. And that if we don't learn from history, we will, in fact, be doomed to repeat it. The amazing thing is that people can be as close to God as the Israelites were and still not love Him. I mean, think about that. Imagine your very life depending every day on Yahweh's provision. Here you're living in a desert. There's no money in this economy. There's no food there. There's no traveling vans of hundreds and hundreds of people coming by to deliver food and supplies. And yet here they are in this place where you can't even plant crops and you have no seed if you even had a place. And God's providing everything you need. And yet these very people avoid God. They reject God. They fall back into idolatry. They stay self-centered. The whole purpose of the tabernacle was to make them God-conscious. And it helped, but it didn't change them really in the long run. Perhaps if you are new to the Bible story and you don't know what we're about to discover about the consequences of their self-centered lifestyle, we'll look at it more in the days ahead, but it may be helpful to tell you now that God finally had his fill of this group of Israelites. They kept wanting to go back to the little delicacy foods they ate back in Egypt. And God would end up decreeing that not one of them would ever enter the land that they had longed to enter for 40 years of desert living. Every single one of them die in the desert because of their stubborn refusal to love Yahweh and respond to His unending provision for them. Again, what Paul says, these things happened as examples for us, so that we would not crave the evil things that they craved. That's the reason we're encouraged to go back and to study these scriptures. They contain case histories of what happens when God is not placed first in our life, in spite of everything the Lord has done to show us His love. Let me review quickly again the facts principle that we use to read Scripture and let it speak to our hearts. Remember the four things we want to use. As you look at Moses, as you look at Miriam, as you look at Aaron, consider those little steps. They're there in your notes below this video. Make use of them. Then use it as Israel, not just of an individual, but think about Israel as a nation. Take the passage where we read about the making of the golden calf and walk through it and use those steps to look at it, how it relates to your life. Can you begin to see how you can have so many meaningful hours meditating and being with the Lord and learning from chapters like these? I hope you do. Let them speak personally to your heart. We finish this section by reading from Exodus 31. Verse 12, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "But as for you, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, you shall surely observe my Sabbaths. For this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord who sanctifies you. Therefore you are to observe the Sabbath, for it is holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall surely be put to death, for whoever does any work on it, that person shall be cut off from among his people. For 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day there is a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death. So the sons of Israel shall observe the Sabbath, to celebrate the Sabbath throughout their generations as a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the sons of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, but on the seventh day he ceased from labor and was refreshed. When he had finished speaking with him upon Mount Sinai, he gave Moses the 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone, written by the finger of God.